Hi guys, this is Dipty and welcome to my channel Life Admin 365 and welcome to today's video. I just want to give you heads up that today's video and a few of the videos in the upcoming weeks, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, are going to be re-edited versions of my previously published videos. I published these videos sometimes in March and April of last year. I absolutely love these videos. However, these videos were way longer and the voiceover was also not of such great quality. I was also in the learning process, so I didn't know as much as I know now. So I think I can do a little bit better on editing the content for those videos and shortening the length of those videos. Those older videos are not getting as many views, though they have absolutely great content. So this is my way of pushing my own videos out in a much better format and in a shorter period of time. Plus, I have been really busy, there's work and there is kids activities and a lot of things that I have committed my time to. I'm recording all of my cooking videos, but doing voiceovers for those videos is really dreadful for me. Plus right now I'm in a phase where I just want to do a lot of arts and crafts. Like I just did a lot of decorating for Diwali. I did some for Halloween. Now Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up, so I want to do a lot of arts and crafts related to those holidays. So right now I'm trying to find a balance in editing the cooking videos and recording my arts and crafts and editing videos. I'm leaning more towards the arts and crafts videos, so that's why I've decided that for the next few weeks I am just going to re-edit some of my older videos and put them out for you guys, because a lot of you are new to my channel and may not see my older videos. With that said, let me share with you what I have re-edited for you today. Hi guys, this is Dipty and welcome to my channel Life Admin 365 and welcome to today's video. Today's video, pre-meal prepping. I'm recruiting my children. I'm to help me peel garlic. So as I'm recording this, they are already doing that work. I'm also getting help from my husband. He's prepping the onions on the other side. He does not want to get recorded, so I'm not going to bother him. And without further ado, let's get started.
Let's make ghee. I'm using wide base heavy bottom pan for making ghee. Turning on the heat to medium, I'm adding 8 unsalted butter sticks or about 2 pounds of butter. Using a wider pan makes the process go faster. As the butter starts melting, pure fat starts separating from the milk solids. Initially, the milk solids are on the top, more as a dense foam on the surface, but as butter is cooking, they start separating away from the fat and start sticking to the sides, and eventually they settle in the bottom. I like to keep on stirring and scraping the milk solids stuck to the edges of the pan. That way it's not hard to clean the pan in the end. It is very important to keep heat on medium and not too high or not too low. You need to give butter its time to cook at its own speed. Anyways, I have dedicated this particular pan and a similar one, just a smaller size, for making ghee and milk desserts like barfi peda. That way I'm not contaminating it with any masala or spices, especially turmeric. I don't want to have my milk products a yellow tinge from turmeric or the likes of the masalas. Well, as butter keeps on cooking, it starts becoming clearer and clearer, and now instead of the dense foam, it is becoming much lighter and the foam is more of the bubbly sort. It's still sticking to the side and I'm still scraping it around to make sure that I can get as much out as possible. A word of caution, just keep a close eye on it, otherwise it's very easy to burn or even have an overflow of ghee. Anyways, the bubbles are thinning out and the milk solids are settling at the bottom. Liquid fat is almost golden in color now from its initial opaque whitish yellow creamy color, and the milk solids are also turning a dark pink from their initial milky creamy color and texture. After stirring a few more times, I'm turning off the heat and moving it to a different burner and letting the residual heat finish off the final cooking. I'm letting it sit on the stove for a few more minutes, and then again I'm moving it to another cooler burner and letting the ghee come to the room temperature before I can transfer it to my container. Oh my gosh, look at this beautiful golden liquid that I have here. I love ghee. I can just eat spoonfuls of ghee on its own, even without adding any sugar to it. Do you guys also enjoy eating plain ghee from the dabba? Anyways, I digress. Once the ghee has come to room temperature, I am transferring it to my container that I have dedicated for ghee, and towards the end I'm using a strainer to transfer the ghee from my pan to the container. That way the remaining milk solids don't get into the ghee. I love to eat these milk solids with sugar. I remember, growing up, every time my eye would make ghee at home, I would wait eagerly for these and eat it with sugar. I had a hard time sharing this with my sister, but we did share it. Anyways, it's time to make my basic masala or the multi-purpose curry base. I'm using pressure cooker to cook the masala. After turning on the heat to medium high, I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, and once the oil is hot enough, I'm adding all the prepared onions. Like I mentioned earlier in my intro, my husband has prepped 4 jumbo onions for me by first roughly chopping them, then soaking them in cold water for about 30 minutes, and finally draining off the water. Now I'm adding green chilies, garlic cloves, which my boys had helped peel and kept ready for me. Then I'm adding red chili powder, turmeric, ground cinnamon, fennel, ginger, cumin and coriander powders, and then giving everything a thorough mix. I don't have fixed quantities for these, but based on the video, I can say that I added about 2 heaping teaspoons of each of the spices that I have mentioned. After giving everything a thorough mix, I am adding about 2 cups of crushed tomatoes, followed by about 1 tablespoon of pink Himalayan salt, and giving everything a good mix one more time. I lidded the pressure cooker, added the weight and pressure cooked for 2 whistles. After ensuring that the pressure has released naturally, I am opening pressure cooker and mixing everything once more before proceeding to blend it with a handheld stick blender. Now I can blend directly into the pot or the pan itself. I don't need to wait for the curry base to cool down before I can transfer it to the blender jar and then blend. Waiting for it to cool so that I can transfer it to my silicone freezer molds. Once again, my husband has come to my aid. He saved 2 cups of this curry base for tomorrow's dinner, which is going to be paneer masala. Yay! And then ladled the remaining in freezer safe molds, lidded them and placed them in the freezer for overnight freezing. Since he didn't want to be filmed, I don't have that coverage for you guys. Anyways, the next day after I got off from work, I took these trays out from freezer and unmolded the cubes, transferred them to a freezer safe zip top bag and put them back in the freezer. I got about 16 half a cup cubes plus the 2 cups that I had reserved earlier. In all, I got about 10 cups of curry base. With ghee and multi-purpose masala ready, I am starting to soak almonds to make almond milk. All I am doing is adding 1 cup of raw almonds to measuring jar, to which I am adding enough boiling water to completely submerge the almonds. I've changed my mind and I'm going to soak another cup of almonds. While the almonds are soaking, I'm going to prepare red chilies for red chili paste. I'm using about 100 grams of the standard red chili that we get and 50 grams of Kashmiri red chilies. After weighing out what was needed, I decanted the remaining chilies in their respective jars. Then I transferred the leftover chili seeds from the packet to a small container. I sprinkled these seeds on pizza, in pasta or even in salads. I'm using gloves when I'm handling these chilies. First, I'm preparing Dipty red chilies. These came without stems, so it saved me some time in removing them. All I'm doing here is ripping the chili open and dumping the seeds in a large plate. Then I'm putting the de-seeded chili along with its central rib in a pot. The seeds are attached to the rib of the chili, and this rib is the spiciest part of the entire chili. So it's important to take the chili rib and not discard it. Gathering all the seeds in the bowl and I'm keeping it aside, and I'm repeating the same process for Kashmiri red chilies. De-seeding the chilies is the most tedious and time-consuming part of making the red chili paste. I'm transferring the seeds to a mason jar. Seeds in the jar, I'm adding olive oil. This is my favorite chili oil. Adding hot water to the remaining seeds. I refrigerate to 3 months and use it for making various Indian Chinese dishes. Then I'm adding boiling water to these de-seeded red chilies and making sure that they are completely submerged in water. I will soak for good 4 to 5 hours. Now it's time to make crushed green chilies. In between making ghee, I quickly removed the stems of the green chilies, then rinsed and kept them for draining. I'm going to give them a good wipe to remove any residual moisture. I don't want to have any moisture when I'm storing the crushed chilies. I'm adding to a small blender jar and pulsing them to get a coarse grind. transferring majority of it to a mason jar and adding avocado oil and then refrigerating it. To the remaining portion in the blender jar, I'm adding roughly cut garlic cloves and then gently grinding it to form a coarse mixture as well and transferring it to another mason jar. Now it's time to prepare dinner. I took out burger patties and buns from the freezer for them to thaw out. I did this again while butter was cooking down to ghee. I had some time on hand, so I decided to make air fried fries to go along with the burgers, and I'm so glad that I decided to do it. There were a few potatoes that had started rotting on the ends, and there was a chance that I could salvage them instead of throwing them out. So making fries was the best option I thought of at that time. Since I wasn't peeling the potatoes, I scrubbed these thoroughly and cut off the rotten parts. Then I cut them lengthwise into strips and put these in a large plate, to which I added cold water and soaked for about 30 minutes. I do this to remove all the surface starch. That way the potatoes can get crispier and not soggy once they are cooked. Boys were very hungry and they didn't want to wait for the fries to be ready, so I started preparing burgers. These look like meat burgers, but they are plant-based burgers from Beyond Meat brand. My kids don't like raw tomatoes in their burgers and I was out of lettuce, so this was simply like a cheeseburger, simple cheese and ketchup, and that's it. While my kids were eating dinner, I prepared potatoes for air frying. I seasoned them with salt, olive oil and portioned them. In one half I added crushed green chilies and the other half I just left with simple salt and oil. My husband helped me once more in filling up the trays with the seasoned potato strips and air fried them 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 18 minutes, and halfway through, like maybe about 9 minutes or so, we moved top tray to lower level and the lower tray moved it up, and that's how we got those fries done. Boys loved the fries. I was not so impressed with the air fried fries. I think oven baked fries are better, but since this was the first time I was making them, I'm not going to form an opinion yet. I will try it few more times before coming to a definite conclusion. It's almost 10 p.m. and I'm at the last stage of today's prep. I'm starting with soaked almonds to make almond milk. This is not much of a rocket science here, simply draining off the soaking liquid, rinsing these almonds with cold water and transferring to a blender jar, and then using my Vitamix, I'm blending these for good 2 to 3 minutes with about 30 to 45 seconds blending interval. So for 2 cups of raw almonds that I had used initially, I'm using 8 cups of cold filtered water for the blending process. To get the milk, this blend needs to be strained. I am using a simple cotton cloth as a liner to my sieve, and using a spatula, I'm moving the blend around in the sieve to strain the liquid in the bowl. Then I'm wringing out as much liquid as possible from this to get pulp in the sieve. There is a lot of pulp remaining and I always save it. I never throw it away. I'm going to transfer it to a glass container and refrigerate until I'm ready to use it. Most likely I will use for making shahi paneer or some heavy rich gravy based sabzi. I have cleaned the blender jar and I'm getting it to dry so I can use it for making red chili paste. In the meantime, I'm transferring almond milk to this mason jar and refrigerating it. This milk will last me for good 10 days in the refrigerator. Almost to the last part of today's prep, which is blending the soaked de-seeded chilies to make them into a fine paste. I'm using gloves once more to process the chilies. I'm draining off the soaking liquid and saving about a cup or so for rinsing the blending jar. I'm adding the chilies from the strainer to the blender jar. In the beginning of the chili prep, you saw that I had soaked the discarded seeds in hot water. I am straining that water into the blender jar with the soaked chilies and discarding these seeds. This adds heat back to the chilies without the bitterness of the seeds. Blending these at high speeds at 45-second intervals to form paste. I wish you guys could see how vibrant this red chili paste is turning out to be. I'm straining this paste through my sieve to get a smooth pulp. I'm pressing it and moving it around with a spatula to quicken the straining time. A lot of drained pulp sticks to the underside of the strainer, so I'm removing it as well to make sure that the holes of the strainer are not clogged and I don't want to lose any of that precious red gold. Then I'm rinsing the blending jar with soaking liquid to get all of the juicy bits and flavors of the red chilies, and then following the same straining process. In the end, I got about 3.5 cups of chili paste. I will use this chili paste for my everyday cooking as well as for making specialty sauces like the Schezuan sauce, enchilada and taco sauces. I am transferring this paste to 2 mason jars and store them in refrigerator until ready to use. Everything went as per my plan. It's close to 11:15 p.m. and I am ready to call it a night. I finished cleaning my kitchen. Things are in their place. Everything went according to plan and I had a super productive afternoon after coming back from work. Thank you for sticking around till the end. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, do give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until the next one, adios my friends.